My name is Intraitor, and I was born in the United States and grew up in a Jewish family. So I was young, I attended a conservative Jewish congregation. Really, I grew up in a Jewish community. All my friends were Jewish. I happened to do very well in school when I was young, and I was accepted to Harvard University. When I was there, I began to study philosophy and psychology and ancient literatures, and I began to be perturbed by a question of what is the meaning of life? Why am I here? Life didn't seem to make any sense to me, that you just go on, in the end you die. And even though I seemed to be fairly successful at a young age, that problem, that question, it bothered me so much that I just couldn't go on without it. And I began to search in all different kinds of philosophies and religions and literatures, and just didn't find any answer. It's interesting, as a Jewish young man, the one thing I wasn't willing to investigate, of course, was Jesus, Yeshua. But after college, I was traveling in Central America, and I met some very nice young people, Spanish-speaking, and they began to tell me a little bit about Jesus then. And I thought, well, maybe I should just check it out. I got a copy of the New Covenant, the New Testament scriptures, and began to read it. And almost immediately, I sensed, well, all the things that I was searching for in college in philosophy and literature and psychology, this is more truthful than anything else I had ever read before that. And I was fascinated, fell in love with the person of Yeshua. After much prayer and thought, I came to the conclusion there just wasn't anything else worthy in life to dedicate myself to other than him. And then I began to be troubled by another question. Well, everyone that I read about in the New Covenant, they're all Jewish. And I thought you weren't supposed to believe in Jesus if you were Jewish, and all the people in the New Testament are Jewish, and what's happening? So we began to ask a lot of questions. And right during that time, there were a few Jewish people around the world who also spontaneously came to faith in Yeshua, in Jesus, and we began to find one another. And there was sort of a revolution, a historic reformation of the faith, to begin to return to the Jewish roots of faith in Yeshua. We began to recreate an environment where we could believe in Yeshua and yet maintain our identity as Jewish people. And that was the beginning of what we call the modern day Messianic Jewish movement, both in the United States and Israel and around the world. And it's grown, and we're very excited to be part of it. Betty and I and our 4 children immigrated to Israel and went through the Aliyah process in 1991 and 1992. Previous to that, we had been part of building Beth Messiah congregation in Washington, D.C. with our friend Daniel Juster. And after that, building a network of congregations together with Dan, Eitan Shishkoff, Paul Wilbur, Mike Brown, which we called Tikkun. And we also started our own congregation in Maryland called El Shaddai. And so when we came to Israel, together with our teaching ministry, we had a certain degree of success behind us already. But we felt it was incorrect for someone to come from outside the country and just start their own ministry. Rather, we felt that the correct way was to come and submit to those who had been here already, serve them, learn the language, learn the culture, and help build what was here first before starting something new. So we started here the first 5, 6, maybe almost 7 years. I served under Joseph Shulam at Nativia, served as his assistant pastor in the congregation there. After that, we gave another 6 years to helping Ilan Zamir, who's since gone on to be with the Lord, to build the Messianic Jewish Alliance of Israel. And then after that, we moved to Tel Aviv and served together with Ari Sokoram in building the congregation, which is today called Tiferet Yeshua, which we have since come back to help oversee that. So after all these years of being here and helping others to build their congregations and ministries and helping to build the infrastructure here in the country, we felt it was time to start what God had called us specifically to do. And we decided to call our new team Revive Israel. Our first idea, we thought about Yeshua and his 12, that he gathered a group of young disciples together and began to train them with a kingdom vision, and then sent them out to receive power from the Holy Spirit and be his witnesses of his kingdom from Jerusalem to the ends of the earth. So we took that upon ourselves as to continue and to restore and complete that original vision that he gave to his disciples. The disciples met together every day to pray in one heart. So we started doing the same thing. We all gathered together every morning to pray together, study the scriptures together, and develop a kingdom vision for what we wanted to do. We felt that the Lord was directing us to start a new congregation in Jerusalem. We served as founders and overseers. Eddie and Jackie Santaro became the first pastors taking care of the flock and leading the congregation, which became known as Ahavat Yeshua, the love of Jesus. Today, we have a beautiful threefold cord between the Tel Aviv congregation called Tiferet Yeshua, which our friends Ron and Ilana Cantor are now leading, our central team at Revive Israel, and the Jerusalem congregation, Ahavat Yeshua. And we work together to develop in all the different aspects, from giving to the poor and world missions and evangelism. And we are still networked internationally with our friends from Tikkun International Ministries, with Paul Wilbur and Dan Juster and Eitan Shishkov, and the Gateways Beyond Training Centers with David Rudolph. And we want to thank you also for being together and partners with us as we seek to establish Yeshua's kingdom upon this earth.